Finding a great hotel in York that's affordable and central can feel like mission impossible. It's one of the UK's most beautiful cities, but let's be honest, it can be seriously expensive for a weekend break. You either pay a small fortune for a room, or you end up so far from the centre that you spend half your trip on a bus. But what if there was a way to get a clean, comfortable room just a short walk from all the action for a fraction of the price? This hotel, the Premier Inn at Layerthorpe, claims to offer exactly that. It's a modern addition to the York hotel scene, promising to be just a 10-minute walk from the historic city walls and the famous Shambles. Now that's a pretty bold claim. It isn't located right in the historic centre, meaning that you can't just step out of your door and be on the Shambles. But that slight distance is exactly what makes its price so competitive. So is the trade-off worth it? In this video, I'm doing an honest, in-depth review to see if the Premier Inn Layerthorpe is genuinely York's best value stay. I'm looking at everything: check-in, the room, the legendary Premier Inn breakfast, location, and of course the price. Let's find out if this is the secret to doing York on a budget without feeling like you're missing out. Alright, I've just arrived at the Premier Inn York City Centre, Layerthorpe. And first impressions are pretty good. It's a modern brick building that looks new and clean from the outside. The hotel is about a 20-minute walk from York's main railway station, and if you're driving, there's limited on-site parking available, although it comes at an additional charge. Now with this hotel, it's one of those hotels where you need to put your keycard in the thing near the door. Now, rather than putting the proper key and forgetting it, and locking myself out, you take one of these. Library card. Never leave home without your library card. To start off with, when you come in, you've got this unit here. It includes a hairdryer, a good mirror with lighting around it. You've got an extra power point in here so you can plug in something like a shaver or hair straightener. And there's a little wardrobe area in here with some of those hotel style coat hangers. And up the top, a spare pillow. And on the outside of there, there's another mirror. Moving into the room, it's quite a spacious room. For a relatively affordable hotel, the room is really quite spacious. We've got a nice big bed here with a padded bed head, and built into the bed head we've got more power points. On either side of the bed you've got a regular power point and a USB charging port, as well as ooh, look at this. We've got a mood lighting that comes up the back of the bed. There's also a little reading light here, and what is really a stool, but it's essentially being used as a bedside table. And on the other side of the bed, we have a separate bedside table that is built into the headboard unit. Now, coming around this side of the bed, we've got a nice big flat screen TV against the wall. And over here, we've got a good sized work desk. Now, it's not too deep, but it is quite wide. Now, we do have the tea and coffee making facilities on there, so if you need more space, you'll need to take that tray off. But as it is, it should be spacious enough for most people to work from. We've got 2 power points there, and you can always unplug the kettle if you need an extra power point as well. There's also a nice little lamp there, just to give yourself a little bit more light. In the corner of the room, there's a nice purple armchair. This is really comfortable. If you can sit down here, watch the telly, it's much more comfortable than trying to watch the telly from bed or from sitting on an office chair next to the desk. This chair is perfect for relaxing and watching the TV. And because this bedside table is essentially a stool, you can move that around and have that next to you to place a drink on, have a drink while you're watching telly. Now we'll just have a quick look at the views. We almost have floor-to-ceiling windows, which lets in a lot more light, and there's much more window space than you would normally get in a hotel in the budget end of the market. Now the windows can't be opened. They're double glazed, so that cuts out a lot of noise from outside. Not that there isn't much noise where we are. It cuts out the noise, keeps the place cool or warm, and the view is essentially just looking into the courtyard in the centre of the hotel where the car park's located. So it's not the greatest view, but it could be a lot worse. All right, now let's take a look in the bathroom. Now the bathroom's quite nice for a hotel in this price range. It's all nice and new. There's a nice sink here with a bottle of Bayliss and Harding luxury hand wash. Let's see this shower. It's a proper walk-in shower. Now, a lot of people complain about Premier Inns having a shower above a bath. This one has a proper walk-in shower. And rather than having a shower curtain, we've got a proper glass wall on here as well, with a little door just to keep that water out. Up here, we've got a proper rainfall shower head, as well as a flexible shower head. And there's just one product in here, and that is lavender and bergamot all-in-one hair and body wash. It would be much better if they had separate shampoo, conditioner and shower gel, but this is all you've got in this hotel. But still, it is a big improvement over a lot of other hotels, particularly hotels at the budget end of the market. So I'm very, very happy with this bathroom. I'm sitting on the bed. The bed feels very comfortable. The mattress feels very comfortable. Now just have a lie down on that. Oh, that's nice. Like a lot of big hotel chains, Premier Inn have mattresses made specifically for them. Now, most hotel chains stop there, but Premier Inn actually sell their mattresses onto their customers as well. When you come into the room, there is a card on the desk, this thing here, where they're trying to sell you their mattresses. Same thing when you go downstairs on the ground floor when you're waiting for the lift. They've got this big screen and it comes on with an ad trying to sell their mattresses. So they do make a bit of a deal about their mattresses, and they are comfortable. Very comfortable mattress, so I'm totally happy with this. Everyone's got different tastes as what is comfortable for them, but the average person, I expect, would have no problems at all sleeping on this mattress. Guests staying at the Layerthorpe Premier Inn in York get free Wi-Fi internet access. Let's see how fast that is. Okay, that internet is not very fast. It's fine for checking your emails, browsing the internet, but you wouldn't want to be making a Teams call over that. For a hotel at the budget end of the market, the public areas are pretty good. There's a nice sitting area near the hotel reception, as well as a cafe bar area, which is also used as the hotel's breakfast room. Premier Inn does a pretty good breakfast, although it's generally not included in your room rate. Breakfast is comprised of toast, pastries and cereal, plus a hot buffet with eggs, hash browns, baked beans, mushrooms, black pudding, bacon and sausages, as well as tea and coffee. If this hotel was a biscuit, what biscuit would it be? If this hotel were a biscuit, it would be a McVitie's milk chocolate digestive. The chocolate layer adds a touch of indulgence without straying into luxury territory. Just as the Premier Inn offers a comfortable stay, that's a step above most basic budget options. You know what you get at a Premier Inn, much like you always know what to expect when you bite into a chocolate digestive. A great hotel is useless if it's in the middle of nowhere. So let's take a walk and see what the area around the Premier Inn Layerthorpe is really like. The hotel is on a busy road, and just behind the hotel you'll find an Asda supermarket and businesses dealing in cars, building supplies and self-storage. It's not exactly the historic version of York, but it's incredibly convenient. But this isn't what you came for. The real magic begins a short walk in the other direction. The River Foss is just across from the hotel. The river was famously dammed by William the Conqueror in the 11th century to create a giant moat for York Castle. From here, you can walk along the city walls for a unique viewpoint or head into the city centre along the Stone Bow. Just a couple of minutes walk from the hotel, you'll find its bus stop behind me. That's where you can get buses into the railway station. Continue along the Stone Bow, and in less than a 10-minute walk from your hotel door, you arrive in the absolute heart of historic York, the Shambles. This is arguably the most famous medieval street in England, and it's easy to see why. Its name comes from shambles, an old Anglo-Saxon word for the shelves that butchers used to display meat on. The timber-framed buildings overhang so much that you can almost touch both sides. A clever medieval trick to shelter the wattle and daub walls and keep the meat out of the sun. From the Shambles, another 5 minutes of walking gets you to the magnificent York Minster. Pretty much all of York's main attractions, including the York Viking Centre, Clifford's Tower and the York Castle Museum, are within a 10 to 15 minute radius of the hotel. The location is without a doubt a huge selling point. You get the benefit of being slightly outside the crowded, expensive core, but the walk into the centre is short, flat and full of history itself. So, after looking at the room, food, price and location, what's the final verdict? Can this be York's best value hotel? First, let's talk about room price. I paid £100 to stay here on a Wednesday night. Premier Inn prices are dynamic, so they change based on demand. A stay on a Sunday night can cost around 50 quid, while a Saturday night booking could be as much as £200. The prices are consistently competitive compared to other hotels in York, and that's precisely because it isn't right inside the city walls. The pros are pretty major. First, the location is fantastic. That short historic walk into the centre is a huge win and a key to its value. Second, the room quality is excellent. The bed is ridiculously comfortable, it's clean, quiet, and it has all the modern essentials like air conditioning and ample power points, including USB ports by the bedside. Third, the staff are genuinely friendly. And finally, the overall value for money is outstanding, especially when you factor in the brilliant breakfast offer. What about the cons? There are a couple of minor ones. The breakfast isn't included in the standard room rate. While it's great value, it is an add-on. For those driving, the on-site parking comes with a nightly charge. And finally, the location itself means that you don't get that step out into history feeling, but you also don't get the price tag that comes with that feeling. So, is the Premier Inn Layerthorpe York's best value hotel? For what it is, a modern, reliable, convenient city centre stay, the answer is a resounding yes. It's hard to imagine finding another hotel that offers this much comfort in such a good location for a comparable price. This hotel is perfect for couples, families or solo travellers who want a clean, comfortable, no-frills base to explore York. If you plan to be out all day and just need a great place to sleep and a hearty breakfast, it's almost impossible to beat. It's not a luxury boutique hotel, but it doesn't pretend to be. It promises to do the basics brilliantly, and that it absolutely delivers. So that's my deep dive into the Premier Inn at Layerthorpe. Have you stayed here? What do you think is the best value hotel in York? Drop your thoughts and your own recommendations in the comments below. I'd love to check them out. And if you found this review helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It costs nothing and it really helps the channel. And of course, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next review. Thanks for watching and happy travels.